Joining me now is the President of Georgia, Salome Zourabichvili. Thank you so much, President, for joining us here on the programme. I mean, your country, we just did a piece there about the background and history of your country, most recent history. Your country understands all too well what it means to be invaded by Russia. In fact, it's happened 3 times.
It's happened 3 times, yes. Thank you very much for having me tonight. You're very right in saying that we are firsthand looking at what happens when you're living next to an empire that doesn't seem to be imperialistic.
What sort of advice then have you been giving and do you give to Ukraine, for example, because you're still grappling with it? Your government is very much feeling the pressure and Russia's grip tightening. And at the same time, I'm sure you're having conversations with your counterparts in Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have to give any advice to the Ukrainians because we have had an almost parallel history. 19th century imperial Russia, 20th century Soviet Russia. We have lived all of that together. We've had the invasions. And so we are on the same path towards knowing that our only perspective is to get closer and closer to the European Union. And that's the path that we've been following together with Ukraine. We have been countries, the first associated, the trio, together with Moldova. And then the war in Ukraine has accelerated this path, in fact. Bringing our countries to the candidate status.
You're saying that, President, but there was an attempt to impeach you because of how close you've been with Europe.
Yes, but I was not impeached. That was not a success. And the real decision that was taken last year was allowing Georgia to grant the candidate status. And that's a major decision, which has really got us firmly on the side where we should be going, where Georgia, in fact, has been going all its history.
Are you concerned, though, about the fact that Russia still has so much of a sway over your country?
Of course, I think that everybody should be concerned, and not only us. We are concerned because we are directly there. We have 20% of our territory that is currently occupied by Russia. And we are concerned because we are going to have very important elections by October. And we know the experience of many other countries, much stronger than we are, how Russia can interfere with election, how Russia can wage hybrid warfare on countries. And we are directly experiencing that. Cyber attacks, economic pressure can be used, all kinds of propaganda, financing some marginal groups, because in Georgia, really, pro-Russian groups are very marginal because we have occupied territories and we have the memory of these invasions.
And occupied territories, you've never been, I mean, as you say, they remain occupied.
They remain occupied. So for a population like that, to have pro-Russian groups and parties is quite difficult to imagine. But there are pro-Russian that do not declare themselves, and there is financing that is coming in to support those groups and to support some forms of anti-Western propaganda. What we're seeing elsewhere, we're seeing here, and we're going to see more of that, I'm sure, this year. So we have to be very cautious.
President, I'm just going to bring your attention to another story that we've been following and we've looked into. As you know, your country has a history of children who have been stolen, up to 100,000 babies that were stolen between the 1950s and the early 2000s. We just want to show our viewers these images. It's of 19-year-old Anna and Lisa. They were twins that were separated at birth. They were sold to different families in the black market in 2005. They've now been reunited. We also have other material, other footage of Makvala and her son David. This is the first time that they have been reunited after she was told the baby she'd given birth to was dead. In fact, he was sold. We know that your government has been investigating these cases, but what justice has been given to these families? What sort of compensation, if any?
I don't know that any compensation has been given. In fact, it has been started by non-governmental activists and organizations that have started this process of uncovering what had been happening years ago. And that is something that has really struck the whole Georgian population. But I don't know about any formal compensation that has been given yet, at least.
Okay. President Zourabichvili, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme.
Thank you.